All right, so for the first exercise on this Wednesday, full body lift is going to be a heel elevated. You probably can't see that, but I'll grab a different angle. Using some wedges on my heels, heel elevated, very narrow stance, back squat. With training for Hyrox right now, this is not max loading by any means. I'm starting off at 155, and I'll be doing it every 3 minutes on the minute. It ends up being about a 2-minute rest, which really helps me stay structured with stuff. And I'm doing 5 sets. So 5 sets of 10. Check out this first one. Again, 155, slightly heavier than what I did last week, but really in control here for set 1. Again, this is not max loading for bodybuilding or powerlifting training, but I am trying to really bias the quads here with this heel elevation and the narrow stance. So just getting kind of a feel for it. I am trying to add weight to each set. All right, gearing up for set 2 now. Should be able to see this very narrow stance a bit easier. 175, 5 pounds heavier than last week. This still won't be uber challenging, just building up. So again, really just kind of focusing on shoving those knees forward, slow and controlled, and super quad bias here. Even though I'm turning into a little endurance boy, trying to stay strong for performance and aesthetic purposes. All right, 200 for 10 on set 3 here. This will probably get challenging enough where I can't talk during the set, but we'll see here. Might play some music. Feeling good though. Knees are feeling good, which is hard when you're, at least for me, running high mileage. So get some respectable strength still here. Whew. Yep, not easy, but feeling good. Plenty in the tank still. 215 for this set. This actually match what I hit last week for my 5th set. This is the 4th one, so obviously gonna go up after this, maybe 225, 235, but feeling strong. Okay, feeling good. One more. This is not meant to be max strength, meant to be kind of more strength, endurance, and just the fact that I'm doing 5 sets of 10, it's quite a bit of work. So that's why I build up in weight. Not traditionally something we would do for a pure hypertrophy client, but again, most of my training right now is endurance focused. Running, biking, kind of CrossFit style circuits. Strength is definitely more on the minimum effective dose, which you'll see throughout today's session. Oh boy, all right, that's good. And again, hard sets there, definitely not maximal intensity, but I believe this is my 3rd or 4th session or week in a row of doing this on Wednesdays. Now it's just trying to build up each week. So again, last week my top set was 215. This week is 230. So just like any other goal, right? We're trying to repeat workouts as often as possible, whether that's running, biking, whatever it is, right? But when you can repeat things, then you actually know, hey, I'm getting better, right? As opposed to just saying, I had a good workout. All right, so next movement coming up. This was my last week's performance. This will be an E3 mom, starting the set every 3 minutes. So 0, 3, etc. And doing that for 4 rounds. So of course, I'm just looking at those. I'm gonna start at 35 this week, see how I go, but try to get 1 more rep, 5 more pounds better. A little bit of a hassle, weighted pull-ups, I'm not gonna lie, but I've always loved weighted pull-ups. And again, with the home gym, no cables, this is kind of the best thing you can do. Neutral grip at a 45-degree handle here. Feeling good. 35 for 8. Probably go up to 45 actually. All right, set 2, 45 pounds. Last week's best was 40 for 7, so maybe I'll try to do 3 sets of 45 for 7 here. Oh yeah, feels good. Probably staying there. All right, we'll make it official here. 45 for 7 on the final set. And again, this is the stuff that some people overlook, right? Just repeating the workouts. What I was wanting is, again, 4 sets of about 5 to 8 reps, but as long as I'm about 1 rep shy of failure, I don't really care, but I'm trying to build upon this every week, right? So 25, 35, maybe next week I'll start at 40. And yeah, you may not hit a PR every single session, but you need to know what your previous best was. You're going to the gym and you've got no idea what you did last time you did that movement. It's gonna be hard for you to PR every time. So let's face it, I could have stopped here. This set wasn't easy, right? Only reason why I went up, because I knew that's what I was shooting for to beat last week. All right, staying on the upper body now, exercise 3. Again, this is a full body session. And also just not doing a ton of strength work as a totality of the week. I'm not doing a lot of single joint exercises. Have to be efficient. So a lot of squatting, benching, pull-ups, right? To be able to really tackle multiple muscles at the same time. Nothing wrong with a little bicep curl and lateral raise here and there, but not a good bang for your buck to just train your side delts, right? If you're not primarily focused on physique, which I'm not at the moment, right? So if you're gonna be running 20, 30 miles a week, all that time commitment, you gotta cut it from somewhere. So this will be a E3 mom again, 4 sets of 5 to 8, the exact protocol I did for the weighted pull-up. And this is like my first set, but again, I'm gonna build into something challenging, so I don't really need to warm up. Kind of the whole idea of the E3 mom is I'm kind of building into it. So this first set will definitely not be anything too crazy, as evidenced by being able to chat. By the way, if you can talk during your set, it's not a super challenging set by definition. So 155 though, that was 20 pounds heavier than last week. Last week was the first time I've done this movement, so we'll make a big jump here. We'll go up to 175. My top set last week was 185, so you get it by now. I'm trying to look at my top set from the previous week as my anchor and look to beat it. Ooh, I feel good. I kind of want to get greedy, but I'll probably be smart here. So 175 for 8. Probably just do 185. Won't be that hard. But it's all about building momentum, right? My main focus is not strength right now, so I don't need to be flirting with failure or even super hard stuff on something like close grip bench. So I'd rather be a little conservative than a little overshoot right now. And 185 for set 3, probably 195 for the 4th set. Ooh. All right. Well, that felt much better than last week. So definitely go up to 195. As far as like my body weight, I think I was 171, 172 this morning. So the point I want to make with that is, like, for anyone who is maybe wanting to get a little bit more into endurance-y stuff, Hyrox stuff, whatever, and you think, oh man, I'm going to lose a lot of my strength. I mean, if you're fairly advanced, like, not to brag, I have been with strength. I've benched 292 with the pause at the same body weight. Yeah, you're not gonna be your strongest ever, for sure, when you're not focused on strength. You're not gonna be your fastest ever if you're not just focused on running or whatever, right? Something like Hyrox, something like CrossFit by nature is, you're not specializing in anything besides the activity that you're doing. So, but I think in the great scheme of things, I probably could bench 250, put on the bar right now. So what, I'm 90% as strong as I've ever been while training less than half for sure when it comes to with weights. I spend maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours a week training with weights. And there's times in my life where I spent 6 to 8 hours in a gym just lifting weights. So that trade-off there of, yeah, maybe I'm 90% of my potential with half the amount of focus. There's probably a good enough trade-off for most people. All right, and if you're a beginner, not the case at all, right? Like, if you bench 135, your bench can go up while you get faster to 5K, right? It's just if you've milked out those newbie gains, like I certainly have, at least with strength, not the case. So, all right, let's see what I got here. 195. Perfect. Perfect. Probably a true two in the tank. I probably had 205 today. And of course, you see me doing bench press, 200 pounds for sets of 8 or whatever. And I'm like titling this video and say training for a Hyrox. I want to be clear, benching 250 is not going to get you good at a Hyrox, right? Hyrox is an endurance race. It takes almost every single person over an hour to do it. It includes 5 miles of running. There's not a good correlation between how much you bench and how fast the Hyrox is. But there's also the point too of you can participate in an event, which is what I'm doing. I am not competing at a high level in Hyrox, right? And not every single minute of your week needs to be dedicated towards that. It's a very common, I think, misconception with specifically like the CrossFit crowd who's like, who wants to do Hyrox? You just want to do burpee broad jumps all day long? It's like, no, man, you can do weighted pull-ups, you can do bench, you can do curls, you can go for a run. Like, you can still have a generalized program and then maybe like once a week hit a Hyrox circuit, right? People who make those comments are very ignorant. I would just be like saying, oh, you do CrossFit? Why would you want to do Fran every day, right? Like that's how stupid you sound if you're a CrossFitter and you think that people who participate in Hyroxes just do the same 8 stations in the same circuit every time they walk into a gym, right? So that's key. Not only do you not have to do that, in fact, you can have plenty of stuff in your week that will not make you any better at Hyrox. All right, so wrapping up here, as I talked about, not doing a whole bunch of accessory work, but I will be doing kind of a tri-set of 3 different movements here. So today, just pretty much one giant circuit. I'll rest a little bit in between, but I'm just doing an empty bar curl for some bicep work, like 10 to 20, and then I'll do some lateral raises, and then I'll do some dumbbell hammer curls. So this is not the focus of my program. Getting good at hammer curls maybe will help you with some overall grip strength, but mainly, again, this is just kind of the proof point that you can have a full day today, right? Squats, bench, what else did I do? Pull-ups, right? Or there's some transfer, don't get me wrong, but when you're trying to be a hybrid athlete, you don't have to just do your actual activity, right? Part of it is the fact that you can just enjoy your overall fitness. And at least for me right now, it's mid-June. I have no Hyroxes on my calendar. I think the earliest I would do one is early November. So months and months away, right? So I can be pretty generalized with my training. I am doing quite a bit of running right now. That is how you get good at Hyrox. But I think it's important to note, again, you don't have to do sled pushes, burpee broad jump, ski erg, AMRAP, 12 months around, right? You can do bodybuilding, you can squat heavy if you want to. I think having a great base is where it's at. And then of course, the thing you should be working on really year-round is running, right? That's what's going to really improve your times, especially if you're like most people, including myself, who don't have impressive running ability, who do Hyrox. It's just math. You know, you're running, and then you do ski, and then you run again, then you push the sled. So where should you put your attention to? Probably the thing you're doing 8 times, and putting less attention to a ski erg in which you do 1 time, right? So I've said this kind of in my recap video after I did Dallas, but man, if you lift and run, if you do CrossFit and run, that's a pretty damn good base for Hyrox. And then probably 2 months out, even if you're taking it like moderately seriously, you know, 2 weeks out, 1 or 2 days a week, hit some station work, right? And I think that's a good base for a lot of people when they want to kind of overall train in a hybrid way, but then want to specialize with something like Hyrox. And then if you're kind of going all in and maybe you're doing 1 in July and then 1 in September and then 1 in December, then yeah, like you're doing multiple races. Most of your year is going to include a lot of Hyrox stuff. But that's a different story. I think it's, for some people, it's kind of like a marathon or a half marathon where it's on your calendar, you do it, maybe you take some time away from the specificity of running, you still take your fitness seriously. I think people can kind of treat Hyrox like that.